We're going to talk about lead gen labs today. And what we're going to talk about, for Lawrence or anybody online, we're not going to talk about quite yet, but there is a 60 touch program that wins. And if you go into KW Connect on your command app and you go and you search 60 touch, download the PDF from David Hook or Hoke, Hooke. And because we are going to reference that real fast. So I want to congratulate you guys for being here. Before we start talking about lead gen labs, let me ask you guys this. What does lead gen mean to you? Connecting with your database. Absolutely. Anybody else?
Building the database.
Building the database. Anybody else? All right, I'm going to offer everybody a little bit of extra credit. If you really want to learn how to build a fantastic business, there is an MREA podcast. I think it's episode 54. It is for last. Brittany Hodak.
Oh, is it Hodak?
Yeah, I think it's Hodak. Episode 54. Let me go in here and make sure I have it here. I was listening to it. Creating Superfans with Brittany Hodak, episode 54. She has $1 million quote in there. The whole podcast is worth it, but she has $1 million quote in there, and that is this. Quit telling me how many names you have in your database and tell me how many people in your database have your name in theirs. Like, do they know that you're the person they're going to call? And how do you create the situation where you are the person they call? And so as we go through today, remember, today is not about just going through the exercise of adding names and doing, just sending up postcards, that kind of thing. It's all about what? Lead generation is all about what? Meaningful relationships. Okay. What else? Building your database. Yes. What else? Creating mind share. This is all about creating mind share. What are the two biggest soft drinks in America?
Coke.
Wow. They spend a lot of money on advertising for you to say Coke and Pepsi. What potato chips do you eat?
Lay's.
Lay's? Doritos? Okay. Like you guys, we're all victim of our minds having a share of things that we don't even care about. I'm a 59-year-old man who still knows that it's 2 all beef patty, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions, and on a sesame seed bun. The Big Mac, right? That was an advertising campaign in like 1975 or 76. Crazy, right? So, but we want to create mind share. Could we go to the slide deck, please? And so let's make that one large and share that if we can.
Absolutely.
So what we're going to talk about is prospecting-based marketing versus, there we go. Marketing enhanced, prospecting-based. This is the only thing I've ever seen in a Millionaire Real Estate Agent that's opposite of what it was printed as. If you go back into the Millionaire Real Estate Agent, it was marketing-based, prospecting enhanced. Now it's the other way around because we know this is what's actually getting the most results. But marketing is money intensive, passive, and long-term results. Give me an example. Give me an example of what some marketing might be in your world. Newsletters, right? What? So why are those more expensive, Matt?
Why are they more expensive?
Yeah.
Somebody has to do it for you.
Well, the paper costs money, the cards cost money, the design takes time or money, the postcard stamps take time and money.
That's ridiculous now.
Yeah, it's going up and up and up. It's not really ridiculous. For less than $1, you can still send something from here and it ends up in San Francisco 4 days later. It's still pretty cool. But the whole thing I would just simply say is that it tends to be a lot slower as well. Doesn't have to be. Like my beloved blogging, but it takes time to build an audience. It just takes time. And so the other way of doing this is to be prospecting, which is more time intensive, proactive for a more immediate result. Give me an example of some prospecting activities that some of you do.
Door knocking.
Door knocking, absolutely. Hey Kathy? What else?
Quick trip,
Quick trip. What does that mean?
meeting people on quick trip.
Meeting, so going out and putting yourself in a position to say hello to somebody. Okay, what else?
Phone calls.
Cold calls, for sale by owners, expireds. I would even argue that to some degree, you have things like events that might be both. You have things like seminars that might be both. Right? So you can live in both worlds at the same time. And yet, folks, what is your strategy for doing this? All right, so let's go to the next slide if we can, please. Good to see you, Lori. All right, here's what's fun to do. How many of you have been in business for at least a year? Raise your hand. Okay, one, okay, got it. So about 3/4 of the room. Go back and figure out what your main sources of your closings are, or maybe even your current prospects. What are your, because the rule of four says that 82% of your business will come from 4 sources or less. 4 sources or less. My aha, when I first read the Shift book all the way back in the teens when it first came out, my aha was I kept thinking about doing other things, but most of my business was coming from either sphere of influence / referrals / previous customers at that point, or blogging. So why was I going to go spend money over here? Why was I going to go spend money over here? So figure out what your client base is saying that you're good at and go from there. Now, if you've been in this business for less than a year and you don't have that track record yet, what should your strategy be? Go out and do 15 or 20 or 30 or 40 deals and let people tell you what you're good at. Because when you haven't sold a lot of real estate, by selling real estate, you'll figure out your path. I have people come to me all the time and they say, hey, I think I'll be good at this. Well, do you know yet? Are you open to the possibility that you're wrong? Go out, try open houses, try for sale by owners, try expireds, try mailings, try open houses, try all of those things, and then start responding to where people are responding to you. Any thoughts on that real quick? So anyway, let me know if there's any comments online, or if you're online and you need to say something because we're sharing screens and whatnot, please don't be afraid to say, hey, Chris, and then I'll stop talking, which a lot of people are asking for that on a regular basis. Let's go to the next screen. So your database kind of works like this. You prospect and you market, it comes down into your database, it creates leads. So lead capture, and then leads are permission. When people start giving you permission to reach out to them, then if they begin to know you, they become your contacts, your nurturers, and then you can start creating appointments. The whole purpose of all of the marketing and prospecting you do is to be able to get them into a situation where you can get to know them better and they can get to know you better. Notice on the side here, it talks about 19 to connect, 1 to cement, 36 to convert. So if you add that up, that's a 56 touch program, right? Yet what you want to do first is if there's somebody you don't really know, like when Kathy, when you're working with your planner audience and you go out and you do, what you're really looking to do is figure out what are the 19 steps, more or less. Don't get hung up if you only do 18 or you do 20, it doesn't really matter. Okay. So, but you get them into a situation where they can begin to know you. What is the best thing that can happen in the get to know you process? This is the realtor I am. These are the values that I share. This is what I do. This is what I don't do. What's the best thing that can happen during that period of time?
Find out they want to move.
You find out they want to move. Man, that's awesome, right? They want to buy or they sell, right?
Yes.
Okay. What are some other possibilities of things that can happen?
They refer you.
They refer you. Absolutely. I love the optimism in this room. What are some other things that can happen?
They tell you to shut up.
They tell you to shut up. Stop emailing me. Stop sending me postcards. Stop calling me. I actually enjoyed that. Not from a I love rejection standpoint. I'm not a sadist, right? But what I was I no longer have to spend money on that person. I no longer have to spend time on that person. They're not going to be part of my tribe. Some of you might say that I have a healthy understanding of who I am. Others might say that, Chris, that just sounds like ego to me. Okay. But somewhere along the line, as I grew older, I began to realize not everybody's going to like me. Not everybody's going to want to do business with me. Think about the ego on the person that thinks that everybody should. So the next time somebody say, hey, I had once had a lady call and she said, hey, Chris, every third week I get an email from you. And I think I know why. It's because I own a couple of investment properties right there by Shawnee Mission West. She goes, I love what you do. And I said, well, thank you. She goes, but you can take me off your list. Well, that's a kind of a weird message, right? I said, well, may I ask why? She goes, well, I'm a Remax agent. There's very little chance I'm going to use you. Right? So I was actually thankful that she called me because she said, I know how much this stuff costs to keep putting out. So it was a good thing. It was a great thing. So, but then you get to your contacts and then your nurtures where you become very service-based. So you got offer-based, value-based, service-based. What is offer-based? By the way, create leads. What is offer-based? Ezra.
Shot in the dark, but I think like if you offer to tell them how much their house is worth once a month, like email, like, oh, like.
Perfect example. Hey, would you like to keep up with your neighborhood? I can tell you what your house is worth. Fill out this form and I'll send you my 12 steps to selling your home brochure. Right? You offer something and in return, you get their contact information. By the way, how many of you have heard that command now, when you log in, you're gonna have to go to your email to confirm that it's you logging in. Have you seen that yet? Okay. Part of the confidence of somebody giving you their information is to make sure it's being safe kept, safeguarded, right? So don't look at that as I have a software for my property management business, where not only do we have all their contact information, we have all their financial situation. And every once in a while I have an employee go, oh, I can't believe it takes 2 steps to get in here. I'm like, really? If you're one of our clients, wouldn't you be glad it takes 2 steps? You might even be asking for 6 steps, right? But an offer base is you get their information or you've already known them and they give, you say, hey, can I keep you up to date with the real estate market? They say, yes. Value-based is what?
The information you provide.
The information you provide. What else?
Incentive to do it now, to act now.
Incentive to do it now. Okay. I think I could even like blend into offer-based. What else? How about the person that you are? How many touchy-feely clients do you think I had over the years? Right? I had some, right? But mostly, you know who loved me? Engineers, business owners. Not because of a lot of other things, but because I'm quick, I'm to the point. Here's what the math says, right? So my value to those people was that it seemed like I knew what I was doing. I would get right to the point and they could make a quick decision based on the facts. That was part of my value. That's what I wrote about. That's what I lived about. That's what I talked about. And when I would stray away from that, I had mediocre results at best, right? When you start figuring out who you are and what you represent yourself as, you're going to have a lot more value to people, to the people that matter to you. Remember that quote when I was talking about Brittany Hodak said, how many people are you in their database? You want to be in their database. You want to be the person they go, oh, I can count on that person. I don't mind sharing their name. I want to share their name. Right? And then there's nurtures. Nurtures is when you become service-based. What is service-based? Sorry?
Selling and buying, like when you're actually out doing the work.
Yeah.
Going in houses and.
Hey, here's the value I can offer you. So here's the value I can offer you. Oh, and by the way, this is me actually doing the work. How many of you ever get maybe just a little put off when somebody calls you and they're not one of your active clients and they want to know about what the neighbor's house sold for or what the thing goes? I've heard a lot of agents sometimes go, oh, why are they calling? That's being service-based. That's what we do. That's what we do, right? People ask me for rent opinions all the time. I don't know if they're going to use me or not. Don't even care. It's part of the service I agreed to when I started putting myself out there, somebody who understands real problems. So don't be afraid of any of these steps. Any comments about this along the way?
One thing I want to share is on that last part, the service-based, once so then you go do your work, you close on their house, but the important thing is to keep that service-based never ends. Continue to offer, remind them, like we send like a yearly letter on their home anniversary, reminding them about our contacts of contractors and all of that. And I remember years ago when we bought our house, we didn't know any realtors, so we just sort of picked one out of the air. And he lived in the neighborhood where we were building a house, so it's kind of neat that way. But we never heard from him again. And so I always thought, gosh, I always had in the back of my head, I guess if we ever move again, I won't use him. He doesn't care about, I felt like he didn't care about us.
Oh, thank you.
I really did feel that way. And I know that like when I do Jackie's work, I'm like, I hope I'm not bugging them. And here I'm not even Jackie, And so don't have that in your mindset, and they can unsubscribe to you if they want, if it's too much.
Even if they want to use you, they might unsubscribe.
That's right.
There's a lot of
It's
businesses
simple.
I use and I like them and they do a great job, but I unsubscribe because I don't need their emails.
Yes, that's so true too.
Right. So we write these stories in our head that may not even be accurate.
Yeah, but I really did. I even looked him up recently. I don't think he is in real estate anymore. So well, figure, but
Listen, in my tenure as a leadership portion of real estate, I have heard hundreds of agents tell me, but I really care about my client. I really care about my client. I really care about my client. But then after closing doesn't mean the transaction stops. It means the transaction just began again. Because if you've already been paid and you think it's going to be 9 more years before they move again, that relationship you need to admit to yourself, that relationship was only based on money. It was only based on money. And that might sting, because I've done that a couple of times when I realized I've never talked to that person again. So you want to stay in contact. And we know what I'm talking about, right? You spend 4 months with them, getting them qualified, looking at houses, getting to the closing table, they close. Then all of a sudden you have kind of relationship withdrawal. Like, whoa, like we were talking like every other day for a while. You even feel it during the escrow period sometimes, right? Like there's nothing for me to really talk. You got to stay in contact, stay in relationship, because you're service-based and you're value-based. At that point, you've moved way back past offer-based. But you want to do that because then that's how you're going to get you're going to get repeat and referral customers that you're just going to go back here and talk about again. All right, go to the next slide. Okay, so we're going to talk about this in just a second, but we're talking about 19 to connect, 1 to cement, 36 to touch, or 36 to convert. Keep going. Okay. Remember on your prospecting marketing, we do have a TCPA, which is the Telephone Consumer Protection Act. Do not violate that. You are on your own. We put up the announcement every team meeting. We put up the announcement every training. We're going to hang you out to dry if you're violating that. Okay. Because you're not supposed to be doing it. Right. So, and don't do what the healthcare companies do. I dismiss them and then they keep sending it. And so I hit them report and junk and they just put me on a different list. And if you listen carefully to what they say, you have been unsubscribed from this number. Don't be that person because it's still not good. So the lead generation model, we're not going to do this today, but here's what we're going to do. Every one of you should have the 60 touch program. in your hands right now. Do you have one, Matt?
Yes.
Okay. And if you're online, remember, you can find this on your Connect. Just search for 60 Touch Program. It's the PDF that kind of looks kind of fancy. All right. This 60 Touch Program that wins is what it's called. And by the way, I think there's a podcast that goes along with this. Can you go to the next slide just real quick? I think that, yeah, okay. So this is going to be our action that I'm going to see how many of you want to take some of this. I want to spend the rest of our time together being very practical about our lead generation plan. Am I advocating that you follow this to a T? No. Although I'm highly suggesting that you consider it. And if you don't do this one, do something. If you have something that's working, keep doing it. And maybe think about it for a second. So let's look at this 60 Touch Program. You go ahead and put sharing the screen if you don't mind. Let's look at this 60 Touch Program that wins. It says, why does the 60 Touch system work? It allows you to capitalize on pre-built trust. What does that mean? It allows you to capitalize on pre-built trust.
Fullest ability.
Sorry?
Using the trust that you've already built to the fullest ability.
Using the trust that you've already built to the fullest ability. Yes. From your personal relationship or from the Touch program? Maybe both.
Yeah.
Maybe both. Okay. Anybody else with an idea? During my blogging, which is no different than doing this at a high level, which is no different than just meeting for coffee after coffee after coffee with people, you let people know who you are, you share your values with them, and they begin to trust you in that capacity. All right? It might be years before they decide to use you. So, number two, the frequency of impressions gains mind share. Remember, this is a mind share thing. Does anybody online or in this room, have you ever eaten at a McDonald's? Do you know McDonald's exists in practically every city of any size in America? Then why do they keep advertising 400 times a football game? Once they have that mind share, they're not letting it go. If you want to have some fun, this is by the way, I'm giving you a business expense for lunch today. You can write your miles off for lunch. You can write your cost for lunch off. Go to the McDonald's right up here about a mile away. And your job is to order something to eat and count how many arches you see once you walk through the door. I'm not even talking about before you walk through the door. But once you walk through the door, tell me how many times they're telling you, you're here and you're going to like it. You're here and you're going to like it. You're here and you're going to like it. Okay. Number three, 1 in 10 people in the database convert to a closing over time. What does the words over time mean?
At some point.
At some point. At some point. I don't know when it's going to be. Ezra, how old are you?
18.
18? Do you plan on being 25 one day? Okay. So you can do this for the next 7 years, or you can not do this in the next 7 years. If you do this, you think you'll have more business at 25 than if you don't do this?
Yeah.
So when should you start? There you go. It's really not complicated. One of the funny things is I know about 4 or 5 agents in this office that are trying to retire, but they keep getting more business. Right?
We can help them with that.
That's what I told one of them. Instead of just outright. Right? So, I mean, listen, there are folks like that, though. Once you've set this in motion for days, weeks, months, years, decades, it's hard to stop it. Which, by the way, come to myself. I will share the book, The Golden Handoff, and a couple of other different strategies on how to retire one day. Anyway, so the number 4 is a systematized machine. Isn't it nice when you don't have to think about anything? You can just do it. And it gives an ROI of 30 to 1. It gives an ROI of 35 or of 30 to 1. If you're buying leads online, are you getting a 30 to 1 ratio? Almost never. I was an early adopter of a giant real estate portal and their leads program. And I was getting somewhere around 18-1 return. And then 18-1 became 15-1, then it became 10-1, then it became 6-1. And I said at 6-1, I can see where this is going. I'm no longer interested. Selling units and making money just to pay expenses made no sense to me. I would rather be riding my bicycle. Okay. But if you are getting a higher return than that, then keep doing it. But your return. So why does the 60 touch system work? Well, there's your 5 biggest reasons. Any questions or thoughts before we move on? This is important.
Is there like a lot of wisdom in just sitting down at the end of the year and planning out your next year? Just having it all on the calendar.
That's kind of what we're doing.
Is that what like high performers do?
Yes, and that's where we're going on this too. Listen, there's always wisdom in reflection. There's always wisdom in finding out what the facts are, not what you think the facts are. Not what you think the facts are. I've got a very personal story as far as where I thought most of my money was, most of my transactions were coming from this area, but most of my profit was coming from this area. My investors were buying house after house after house, and I was making money doing that. But my profit was coming from the fact that they were also buying them a house for them and their spouse, and their kids were now buying houses. See where I'm going with that? So it brought great clarity to me. Don't shut out this door just for this door. You have to be paying attention. All right. And then it says, what is the secret sauce? Okay. The secret sauce is number 1, the consistency and frequency of impressions. How many of you are concerned that you're talking to your client base or would-be client base too much? Okay. That's interesting, right? Again, there are businesses that I use and will continue to use because they do an excellent job, but I've gotten off their email list because I don't need the reinforcement. And it's just more stuff in my email. I don't have time for it. So the stories we're writing sometimes can be kind of fun. All right. Number 2, forming a nonprofit and using a 16-word question when calling the database. Who do you know in the community with an urgent need who we can serve financially? Who do you know in the community with an urgent need that we can serve financially? Now, keep in mind, the guy that wrote that is netting over $1 million a year. Do you think he had a nonprofit of his own when he was only making $100,000 a year? Probably not. So who can you partner up with? Are there great nonprofits in this area that you could partner up with that fit your value systems? Sure. There are nonprofits for the unministered. There are nonprofits for people with special needs. There are nonprofits for dogs. There are nonprofits for kids. Your school PTOs probably have a nonprofit, right? Where you can help with the PTOs around you. So that there's something that goes on there. But what it's showing your database is what? It's showing your database what?
That you're involved in the community that they live in.
Yeah, that you're involved in the community that they're in. If you pick a nonprofit that fits your value systems, do you think that's a natural fit with what goes on? Right. You're humanizing you and your business. And then things to consider when creating your touches. Number 1, frame your content by answering a question. Write down the 20 questions you get asked most often by buyers and sellers and answer their questions and make these basis. I want to do a newsletter, but I don't know what to say. What does that just say? What are the questions that people are asking on a regular basis? What are some of the questions people ask on a regular basis? What's the market like? Oh, absolutely. Market updates, big reason to communicate. What else?
Is now a good time to sell?
Is now a good time to sell? Is now a good time to buy? What are the interest rates?
What's my house worth?
What's my house worth? What did my neighbor's house sell for? Right? There is a reason to write down the questions that you're hearing. Make it personal and keep it local. Make it personal and keep it local. I've got a special open house, a Zoom open house for my owners that work with me in investments, because there are some major market changes going on right now. I am coming to that open house with national numbers because my client base is national. I'm also coming to that with local numbers because we work in a local market. So the first thing I said there is I've got an open house going on because I see some major changes. I've got like 19 people registered for it so far, right? B, I'm the economist of choice for my owners. What are you to your database? And it could be anything, right? Matt Braswell is the I know a guy. I know a guy. Need a plumber? I know a guy. Lawn care? I know a guy. Masonry? I know a guy. Right? Is that right? Okay. And then lastly, put direct calls to action and MOFers on everything. And if there's one area that Chris needs to improve on, it's that right there. Always be putting some reason for them to get back into contact with you. Always put some reason for them to be getting back in contact with you. Any questions or thoughts before we move on? All right, let's keep moving then. Look at the touches here. How many of you have a story in your head right now that 60 touches is a lot of touches? I once sat in a room at Keller Williams Realty International while for over half of an hour, really intelligent, millionaire real estate agents argued between 36 and 60 touches, or 33 touches, or 36 touches, or 60 touches. Can I just tell you, about 45 seconds into the argument, I just quit listening? Because what difference does it make? And I ask that sincerely. What difference does it make? You've got to find the frequency that's right for you and your client base and the message you're looking to share. And also, and this is the biggest thing, you've got to start somewhere. You've got to start somewhere. How many people in here are doing a 60 touch program currently? Raise your hand. Anybody online? Nobody. Feel like you are? Okay, one person. Okay, doing a 60 touch program. Great. So let's break this down. We'll start with my least favorite one, and that's 36 emails. Why are emails my least favorite?
Because you don't like it in yourself.
I get about 250 emails a day. That's just from my property management company's emails. Somehow my name, publish your name and everything out there. And then in my other lives, probably another 200 to 250. I get too many emails. So when I have the story about, I don't want to send out 36 emails. But now look, it says 12 are for about hot listings, 12 are video emails, and 12 are text emails. Okay. You can break this up. You can do different things to help out your folks, or you can ignore it altogether. And then if you did that, you would have a 24 touch program. You can start somewhere. Start somewhere. 12 direct mail pieces, 6 postcards, 6 newsletter topics. Is that something everybody can do if they chose to? What's the action step you can take today in either the 12 mail pieces, the 4 items of value, the 4 client appreciations, or the quarterly call? What's the action step you could take today by the time you go to bed if you chose to?
Smart plan.
Set up a smart plan. What does that mean exactly?
Well, figuring out what a value you could be reaching out to and touching through a smart plan, set it up, and then you just click all your contacts and do it automatically, so you don't have to worry about it again.
Love that. Anybody else?
Make sure you have a contact list.
Make sure you have a contact list, okay? That should be ongoing. We'll just put that up as item above number one, everything. Anything else? So this is just me. It's probably nobody else in here. I don't need a smart plan to use a calendar. If I was going to do this today, by the time the thing was open, I would simply go on to all 12 direct, that's almost like one a month, right? I would probably just go in and say on the 20th of every month in the month of 2000 or the year 2025, I'm sending out a mailer. I would put that on my calendar. I would probably put it out in a half-hour block. Then I would go 20 days in advance of that, and I would put on prepare mailer. And I would probably put it out in a 1-hour block for every month of the year. Then that 1-hour block, I would be doing my writing or putting together of all the things I've accumulated and sending them to whatever publisher I'm going to send it to, which might even just be this printer up here where I do a trifold. Because I can, it's my least expensive way of marketing. Who can do a 12 direct in 2025 and would like to? Raise your hand. Okay. Already am. I hear a lot of I already am. I see a lot of hands go up. So I'm going to give you 30 seconds right now to put something on your calendar in the next 24 hours that you're going to build your 12 direct. And just for fun, just because I'm a glutton for text, 913-568-1579. Text me when you get it all on your calendar. Make me smile. Make me feel like this is all worth it. Right? Now, we just did that for the 12 direct mail pieces. If you chose to, could you also do it for the 4 items of value, the market prospectus, the notepad, the referral directory, the calendar? Could you do that as well? Now you would be up to 16 touches. How about client appreciation events? Now, if you want to learn how to do things like outbound care call, pumpkin pie, other things, huge events like what the Lee team likes to do, don't talk to me, talk to the Lee team. You could, but if you want to learn how to do Zoom events, I can tell you about that. Like I tend to do Zoom events because most of my 338 owners live all around the country and even the world. So they're probably not coming to Kansas City for a pumpkin pie. Right? I'm definitely not driving to them. All right. So that's
I always like the fuzzy math thing too. And it was actually Dave Jinks that told me this because we'll send out, I'll send out Chiefs magnets.
Yeah.
He goes, that's one mailer. He goes, but if you're on the refrigerator for 6 months, that counts as 4.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure it is. You know, is it this Thursday that we've got the pop by thing going on?
Yes. 14.
Okay. Could pop buys be a part of this, the 4 items of value? Or maybe the client appreciation again? I don't know, but you know what I probably would do if I was an agent, especially trying to figure out where my place in real estate is? I would probably be at the pop by thing on Thursday. You're going to learn a new skill. You're also going to meet your fellow agents and get to know them. Don't dismiss this power of community, folks. Don't dismiss this power of community. I love Zoom. It's not the same as looking somebody eye to eye and having a great conversation. Okay. And then lastly, the quarterly calls. Who should the quarterly calls be for, by the way? The person you're calling? Okay.
So calling and asking them. for things. Calling Franklin Valley to them.
I am not a person that wakes up every day and say, I am so looking forward to making 20 phone calls today. Yet I'm doing better. I'm constantly, that's constantly a thing for me. So for me, my quarterly calls really only go to my like top 100 people,
Figure what people.
top 100 people. Like I can't call all 338. I let Jimmy call some and other people call some, but I will reach out to my top 100, the people I know and those kind of things, the people that send me referrals. Now, some of you might be phone call warriors. That's okay. Call your entire database if you want to. Again, who are you as an agent? Who are you as a business person? Go with that. Are there any questions or thoughts around these touches? Or does anybody have a story that they want to share because of these touches? All right. This can be customized. What can't be customized about this? What's the only thing that can't be customized about this? You can have a 58 touch program, you can have a 12, but what's the thing that can't be customized?
Have a strategy for strategic stay in touch.
Yeah, the principle for having a strategy to strategically stay in touch. I was just gonna say just doing it. Yeah, that sounds so much better. You gotta do it, guys. You gotta do it. And then I love the fact, because a lot of times I have people say, well, what do I talk to them about? Well, he's even got 4 of the conversations written right down there, the scripts for them. The actual scripts. I'll give you a script I had on the way home Sunday night that I called one of my owners on. I said, man, by the way, the guy lives in Denver. I said, well, that was rough, wasn't it? I got some not encouraging words, you know, for the thing about it. So, but I told him that, hey, it's great that your properties are in the city where winning happens all the time. That's what, you know. So that's how I relate to people. Okay, it's sports. I love sports. If it had been just the opposite, I might have called him and said, congratulations, you get to brag for the next 6 weeks or whatever the time is for the next game. If you made a commitment to do something this week about this, I would really appreciate a text once you do it. Just so I can partner with you in encouraging you to keep going. And yet when you go back to, well, we don't need to bring it back up. On the lead generation model, what you want to do, go ahead and bring it back up and then we'll close on this. Go back to the cement mixer. No, the funnel. There you go. When you have this as your model, meet as many people as possible. Don't prejudge. Some of the more experienced agents on here, online or in here, have you ever prejudged somebody and found out you were completely wrong? Don't prejudge. Just also don't take it personally if they opt out. It's not personal. Well, it might be personal. But that's okay. It's okay. They don't like the way I do business. That's okay. I mean, I don't want to be obtuse just to be obtuse. Right? But I want to be me so that they'll be attracted. And then create as many leads from that as possible. Have those conversations. I would say that there could be some healthy fallout between adding them and solidifying them. That's okay. Wayne, have you found that to be true? People just say, I don't want to.
I'm sorry, run that back.
So by the time you add somebody to your database, but then like before you actually have a relationship, do you have people that say, get me off your mailing list or whatever?
No, I mean, because I try to send out stuff that has value.
Gotcha.
So
yeah.
they're not going to go to the trouble they'll just throw it away if they don't want
Right.
it. I haven't experienced that personally.
I have, because it just turned out the value I was offering wasn't what they wanted, which is, it's okay.
Also from somebody that they know about the real estate license as you're already talking to them, because they don't want to be in your database too.
Yeah.
And they'll like, they do it in a nice way, like, I don't need you to talk to me more, like, I don't want you to do that. Have to spend money on me because I'm not gonna use you because my mom got licensed.
If I was a regular house agent, what I would probably do is take them off my list, but add a call 18 months from now to see if mom is still a licensed real estate agent. I mean, I wouldn't call, is your mom still a licensed real estate agent? But what I would do is just check in with them. How are you doing? I was driving by your street and I just thought of you. How's it going?
Oh, and then you can also think of their mom and build a family.
Yep. Yeah, great profit sharing opportunity,
Yeah.
right?
You know, my mom got into real estate. She goes, well, where's she at? You know, we need to be talking.
Yep, love it. Love the way Wayne thinks. You could ask Megan if she's still licensed. Megan can just look it up real fast. You can look it up real fast too. See all that stuff online. And then getting them into your contacts though. And then we could do a whole class on, do you have A contacts, B contacts, C contacts? Do you have just one big contact list? I mean, however you guys want to do that is fine. Yeah, this is my hope for you today. My hope for you today is this is a specific strategy. It's a very specific strategy. And if you would map this out for 2025 to whatever degree you are going to participate in the 60 touches, whether it's just 4 phone calls, if it's progress over what you've done, then make it happen. All right. So I'm going to wind this down. So give us 10-minute break before we go to team meeting for the budget model. And did we get the awards?
Yes.
Fantastic. We're going to do some awards too.
Mhm. And Gary's asking the monthly newsletter, emailed or mailed? I feel like that's.
I think Gary, that's a great question. Should you email or mail the monthly newsletter? I think it's going to depend on you, your value, your relationship with your clients. I prefer something that they have to look at my logo on the way to the trash can. Not just click, delete, click, delete, click, delete. That's just me. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying I guess I'm just old school. But here's the thing, old school still works. Still works.
Well, it depends on what your budget, how many people are you sending to?
Yeah, fair point.
Marketing budget stamps are like $1 a thing.
Kristen says it depends on your budget. We're going to talk about that in team meeting,
Depends on your target market too.
So
I think it depends on your target.
your target market. Yeah. Yeah, my target market all wear bifocals.
Yeah.
Generally, people don't start buying investment properties for long-term wealth building until well into their late 30s or mostly into their 40s. I don't know what the average age of our clients are, but it's nowhere near 35 or 40. It's the average age would be well into probably the low 60s. So they want paper. They want not 11 font. I generally will write a lot of things in 14 font. Morning, Lisa. So give me 1 or 2 ahas or commitments, and then we'll be done.
I'd like to commit to getting my senior clients on a smart plan.
Okay, what does that mean?
It means I'm going to send, make sure that they know that I'm a planner and that how I can help them with either downsizing or moving to retirement communities, and that help them narrow down.
Okay, so Kathy's going to commit to a smart plan to let people know that she's a real estate planner, the things that she can help them with. Are we talking about a phone call smart plan, an email smart plan, a direct mail smart plan?
Yes.
Yes. What are you committing to though by tomorrow that I've mapped out? The phone calls mapped out.
Because a lot of seniors they have a harder time with, they can do emails, but I think they prefer phone calls.
Right, up to their landlines? I'm just kidding. So, all right, anybody else want to make a public proclamation? Including you online? All right, See you in 10 minutes.